Welcome to All Things Moore County, Moore County's weekly radio show highlighting the many facets of the Sandhills. That includes real estate, lifestyle, community and neighborhoods. And now, from 4 Properties, here's your host, Bill Sahadi.
Good morning and welcome to the talk show, All Things Moore County. Good morning, Dorothy.
Morning, Bill.
Hey, in the 16 years we've been taping the show, what would you guess, how many entrepreneurs have we had on? People who were starting new businesses, people who were self-employed, working for themselves, and kind of tracking their progress.
I don't think there's enough fingers and toes in the whole building to reach that high.
So, the theme of this show is, Moore County is a great place to live.
Yep.
But since we get to pick our guests in our shows, we sort of gravitate towards independent contractors,
yes,
people who are stepping out and working on their own. And back in March, we had Rachael Turecamo on. She is the owner of Seedy'S Plants.
I remember that show.
Well,
it was very interesting.
Yeah, she was very informative. She was a great guest. But since March, there's enough information to talk about to have her back on again.
That's good.
Because I have a hard time recalling anybody who is in a startup business who has so much stuff happening from March to July. And Rachael, I'd say good morning again. It's great to have you.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Between your busy spring season, the talks with the town of Aberdeen about your retail business, and your expanding landscape business, plus all the articles that have been written about you, the last 4 months have been frenetic for you. You're in a different place than you were in March.
Very much so.
Tell me what's been happening, because I think you're in a much higher place than you were, maybe higher than you had expected.
I actually set very realistic goals, and it's kind of tough because I've been putting this plan in motion for 20 years. I'm only 35, and I'm, not trying to speak out of turn for my experience level or my age, but I've wanted this since I was a teenager.
Yeah.
So, I've worked with every sort of business that would give me the know-how in order to start this and not fail. Failure wasn't an option for this business. It sounds so silly, but so coming into this, it was all part of the plan, renting a building right at the point of when spring is about to start, knowing where I can start getting door swings and sales. And some things were just, pure luck. I wound up meeting you. I wound up meeting other people who help promote my business, Nicola over at High Octane, and it's been fabulous. But the sales that I set, the goals, I actually met and exceeded slightly.
Well, Nicola introduced me to you, and I think I told you before we started taping, Dee and I met Nicola when she was pregnant with her third child, Guy, not her third son. And what she's done in those 15 years or so, she now is sort of like the unannounced mayor or PR person in Aberdeen.
I agree.
With High Octane. And she wrote a very prophetic post in Facebook about the fact she bought the building that she's in. She has built and created something special. And I know that she looks at you and she feels exactly the same way about you, that you may be a younger version of her. Not much younger, right? But
that's right.
So she reached out to me, and she said, and I listened to everything she says.
Yeah.
She says, you need to meet Rachael. And so that's when we had you on the March show.
Yeah.
And in addition to all the successes you're starting to have and the things that are exploding, I've had the chance to work with you directly at my property, and we're going to talk about that later. But go back real quick and talk about the fact that you've been wanting to do this for 15 or 20 years tells me that you had a direction at a very young age, And yet life got in the way too in those years. And you get to a point in your life where you may not be exactly where you thought you would be, but you never gave up on the dream of starting your own business.
Sure.
Right?
I wouldn't say that life got in the way. I think that I needed to experience all of that. I was a fairly young mom. So there was something that I always knew I needed to work on and didn't know that I had the power to change it. And it was partly my personality. I was agreeable. I was an agreeable person.
I think you're a very agreeable person.
Yeah.
I
think, but most women are very agreeable. We're built for that. We're built to rear children, and I hate to say that, it's not for everyone, but we're built to be taken advantage of a little bit by infants, right? So you wind up saying yes a little too much, right?
Right.
And then as life goes on and you experience real things, you start learning that you sometimes need to start at no, because it's easier to walk back a no to a yes. And I don't think I could have ever started this business in my 20s and been successful the way I am now.
Right.
I needed those experiences.
You have tunnel vision, don't you? You have blinders on in
Yes.
terms of growing your business. Nothing is going to get in your way.
There's a really great conversation between Tim Ferriss and Terry Crews, of all people. And he talks about that. He talks about most of us run a race, and we're constantly looking from side to side, and seeing where we are in the race. But you need to stop doing that. You need to not compare yourself, because it's the
right.
thief of joy, right? Comparison.
Right.
And I got a lot out of that.
You have to run your own race.
Yes.
And not worry about what is around you.
Yes.
And you do that. And you have two boys, 14 and 9. So they're at an age where they ask a lot of mom.
14 and 11.
14 and 11.
Yeah.
And they ask a lot of mom at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So you're juggling a lot.
Yeah. My kids have been phenomenal. I mean, my youngest especially, I have to laugh. I think he wants to take over the business one day.
I met him at the shop. He's adorable. He's cute as can be.
You want to talk about the mayor of Aberdeen? That might be Ben. That he goes around on his bicycle and hits every small business in town, and he's just, such a character. He plays in that stream all the time. I know that Mayor Farrell used to play in the stream behind my shop.
Yeah.
Him and his other friends there.
Yeah.
And now I see Ben back there having fun with his friends, and it's just, I don't know, it's nice.
You also are pretty creative in terms of minding your expenses.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, the creek you just mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
you use that creek
I do.
to water
Mm-hmm.
your plants. And you have an open air, that old historic gas station, which is an icon on North Poplar Street. It's where you're located for your retail establishment.
Yes.
And so you use the creek. You're trying to do everything you can to increase your margins, but respecting the process and making sure that you're guarding every nickel and penny at the same time.
Part of that is the fun of it. It's making the most out of the least. I've got pallet boxes inside that I've flipped on their sides and made shelving in the interior of the building. Pumping water out of the stream was just, I got lucky that I had a water source on the property that I wound up renting.
Yeah.
So some of it, yes, planned, and some of it you're just making hay when you have it.
So big picture, you don't just own a retail plant shop. You are a consultant by nature.
Yes.
You're a landscape designer with a certain pedigree, and I think you were doing that in Atlanta, if I recall. Was it Atlanta?
I worked out of that was a startup in Atlanta.
Okay.
So I was working with wholesale nurseries, growers, like top 100 garden centers, and helping them. That was more digital based.
Okay.
But my landscaping experience really stems from Long Island.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Where you're from.
Yes.
And I know that everybody that I have sent to you has come back with rave reviews.
That's good.
Whether it's been at the shop or we sent you to some clients of mine who purchased a home on Hill Road, and they called me and they just said, "Oh my gosh, she's great." And this was all about consulting and perhaps doing some landscape design and some maintenance. And friends of mine who have a home at Fairwoods at 7.
Yes.
You met with them, and you knew that you had a good meeting by the time they invited you in for a cup of probably very strong coffee.
Yes.
Is that right?
That's right.
And I don't know how you find 24 hours in the day, because you are the face of Seedy'S Plants. But Seedy'S Plants is starting to take off in a way that it's expanding, and that's going to present a whole new set of challenges. You're probably already pre-planning for that.
Yes, I mean, I'm scaling quickly. That's the big concern right now. Once spring is over, you're losing on door swings. So
We'll say that again. When spring is over,
you're losing on door swings. So people aren't coming into the garden center as frequently.
Okay.
Now, I'm lucky with my corner. It's a very high traffic corner, and if it's, a new delivery that comes in of something blooming, people will stop. So that's been extremely helpful. But as the season continues and it gets warmer, I've used landscaping as a means to keep the numbers up and keep things growing. And I've always known that I was going to have to scale with an employee. And everyone who's been in a business or had a small business knows that getting an employee is it's almost like starting over again. And you're just doing another risk. It's just risky behavior after risky behavior.
you have a good attitude. One of the most rewarding stories to me was I have a landscape lady that I've worked with for years, and she was referred to me through Claire Bruno, who passed away, who I had worked with for maybe 15 years prior to that. And Kelly has she sort of takes charge of my property and this and that. And after meeting you in March, I remember having a conversation with her. And I said, I really want you to go purchase the plants that you're going to be using at my property from Rachael at Seedy'S Plants. And I got a sense, okay, I'll go and check them out. And there's that sense of control that's fine. And then I spoke to you about it. We had a reason to have a phone call, and you had said, yeah, she stopped in, and she was sort of checking things out. And I sensed a bit of hesitation. Well, that hesitation turned into, she's become like your biggest cheerleader. She says, I only go to Rachael now, and she has the best plants. She knows a lot, and I'm always looking for stuff. And she shops the market, so to speak. And
yes.
She's got a lot of experience. So she's gone from that initial, why are you taking away my independence, to, because for me it was a win-win. It helps Kelly, and it helps you.
Yes.
To start. And you won her over. And you didn't have to do anything to win her over, right, except being yourself. And she saw it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And part of it, too, is, you talk about scaling. And my mother has been helping me tremendously. So if I have to go and do a landscape job, I have to be there. So I'll go and ferry myself back and forth between being a foreman for a landscape job, having my guys work, and then going into the shop and getting things done. And I think above all, Kelly really loved that. She even mentioned it to me. She said, my mother and I were best friends.
Oh, wow.
And so were my mom and I. We are together all the time. And
so did your mom come here after you moved here or before?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you moved here how many years ago?
10.
Okay.
It's been
and then
10.
she followed you from Long Island.
Yes.
Okay. So there was a connection that Kelly was able to make.
Yes.
Through and a common ground, and that helped. we have a lot to talk about. Let's come back in the second set. We really have a lot to talk about. Seedy'S Plants is a very successful startup, but it has 20 years worth of, dedication behind it and a focus which is hypercritical to making a small business succeed. This is All Things Moore County. We'll be right back. Welcome back to All Things Moore County. Rachael Turecamo is our guest from Seedy'S Plants. She doesn't need an introduction anymore. So many people have gotten to know her as her business is growing quickly, and the feedback that we get, and I personally get from a lot of people that I've referred to her, has been so positive. And we're going to talk later about some of the work you're doing at my house. But with all the field trips that you're making, as the retail portion of the business slows down a little bit in the summer,
Sure.
Tell me about some of the stories and the experiences you've had, because I think it will let people know about the scope of the kind of services you do for homeowners individually.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of DIY type customers where they'll come in and they'll have photos, or they'll get my business card and they'll literally text me photos of their yard. They'll tell me the size of the space, the amount of sun exposure that area is getting, and over a text I might just provide, a couple of plants that would work in that area. They might come in with a photo, in which case I'll do a hand-drawn design just for free in the business, because most independent garden centers do that. And then some people need a little bit bigger of a lift. They need you to come to their space to look at it. I'll dig into the soil. I might test the pH of the soil to see what the acidity's at, which it's usually acidic here in the Pines. And from there, I'll provide a plant list for them, or we'll go all the way to installation of the plants, a full-blown design. But my clientele ranges. I mean, it could be somebody who's living in a townhouse up to somebody that's living in CCNC. It's not limited.
Good. What is the one of the common themes or the things you find out that in your field trips, the assumptions that homeowners may have that may not be correct, that you get to give them an idea about restructuring their thinking, because and I'm sure that comes up from time to time.
Absolutely. There's really 2 points. The first one is most people will plant and not amend the soil. They'll plant something when it's extremely hot out. They'll plant it straight in sand. And then the second piece is not watering enough. So I have found that selling soaker hoses has really been helpful.
Selling?
Soaker hoses.
Oh, soaker hoses.
Right.
Okay.
So just setting it up so that a person could put it above the ground, kind of wrap it around the base of a plant.
Right.
And then you can set it on a timer, because we're all busy. So it's like, great, I got this project done, I'm so happy, and then everything dies.
Right.
And it's usually because it's not watered properly.
Right.
So I tell them exactly how to set the soaker, what timing, and then to make sure they mind it for however many weeks, depending on what time of the year it is.
And some people may know a soaker hose in a different term, a drip system.
That's different. So
Okay.
there's a bunch of different companies put out drip. There's Orbit, or Rainbird is the big one. And drip system is a plastic pipe that's solid, and then there may be holes along it, depending. Or you actually will push in an emitter. So you will wrap the pipe around the base of the plant.
Right.
And then the emitter actually has a sharp piece on the end, and you're piercing the pipe. and then it will drip out water from there.
Yeah, I do have that at my house in some of my beds, but otherwise I have those full-blown irrigation heads.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone says the drip system is, especially for perennials, much more efficient way to water.
For sure.
Without wasting.
Yes.
And in this drought that we're in, by the way, I mean, now that I mentioned it, that's causing a lot of stress with a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to cause stress in your business. What do you tell people who you're working with? I know you're just completing a job in Mid-South. I want you to talk about. Hopefully, we're not going to have any restrictions going forward. I don't know if they're hand watering restrictions or irrigation restrictions. I don't know.
So when I do plantings, I guarantee my plants for a year, which is extreme.
Even if God doesn't guarantee enough water to put us, okay.
I do it with the notion that we need to have a solution to irrigation. So a lot of people who will take part in my plantings, they'll have irrigation, but not always. And that's why I have the soaker hose and a timer to kind of mitigate that for most others in this area.
Okay.
And you can leave the soaker hose out, and that could be your permanent solution. Over time, it breaks down, and you'll have to replace it, whereas getting a real system, it's more upfront, but it lasts a lot longer.
Okay.
When people are planting and doing an entirely new landscape, I actually encourage them to install ahead of time. I'll put in compost mixed in with the backfill, and I'll also do something called biotone starter.
Okay.
So biotone starter is actually beneficial bacteria and mycorrhizal fungi, and those mycorrhizal fungi, they attach to the bottom of a root system and actually extend the root system. So your goal with watering is always to try and get the plant to go downward further. The more top growth, you would want the root system to be just as long as the plant is above ground. So if it's 2 foot above ground, you want it 2 foot below ground of just roots.
Okay.
So the biotone helps with that. And then making sure to water. Yes, you could do a soaker hose. Yes, you could do regular irrigation with sprinkler heads. I would highly encourage anyone who, if they are deciding to put irrigation in, use drip. Because when you use drip, you actually save a tremendous amount on water. So in situations of drought where you can't water as much, it's not really a problem.
Yeah. You talk about going out and starting from scratch with certain houses. You are just completing a project in Mid-South. Tell me what that all entailed.
So this house, I mean, beautiful cottage in Mid-South overlooking the greens, and I had to take out their entire front landscape and their side landscape, which they had these like huge overgrown azaleas that we ripped out. And I planted all along their home panicle hydrangeas, which are blooming now, and they're gorgeous. They start off with a green flower, turn white, and then turn pink at the end of the season. And with this project, I mean, all of my projects, because I'm just starting the landscape end of the business, it's just been a lot of buying a tool for the new type of project. So when we ripped everything out, we planted it, we biotoned it, but we're changing irrigation, so we need certain tools for that. We moved things around, and so the water was moving around the house differently. And the homeowner decided, hey, I'm okay with a French drain to kind of mitigate some of this with these changes in the irrigation.
Was it a slopey lot?
It is, and it's right at the basin, like off the golf course. So the velocity of the water coming off the golf course on its own was an issue to begin with.
Okay.
It was a problem area before.
Okay.
And this particular area, it's a set of homes. I believe they were all built in 2017 or 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And so they brought a tremendous amount of clay in there to change the topography after they ripped off all the pines. But what people aren't really aware of is that clay holds water.
Yeah.
So you're putting grass on top of clay, and now you're going to have water issues if it's not sloped correctly and the water's not running downward into a drain.
I see.
So we hand dug down 2 feet and actually 2 foot wide, which is a little bit wider. Poured a ton of gravel in. I took 3 pipes rather than 1 perforated pipe and had them sleeved with landscape fabric and set them in, covered it with gravel, covered it with soil, and then sod on top.
Have you gotten any pictures? Do you take pictures as you go along?
I do, yeah.
Okay, great. I have a situation, I don't know if you've ever had this happen, where you go out to a house and they have property line issues where things have to be moved. There's a house I'm working on with a client, and they're the buyer, and the seller has this beautiful home, this beautiful garden in the backyard, and they found out that one of their fences encroaches on the right-of-way, which is an 80-foot right-of-way, which is a very large right-of-way. And in order to meet the requirements of the town of Southern Pines, that fence has to be moved off the right-of-way onto the property, but it's going to change the symmetry of the yard. And it becomes an issue that we have to negotiate with the sellers to get this done before they can move forward, because my buyers don't want to have an issue down the road where when they go to resell, they're going to have to face this issue. So we have to sort of nip it in the bud now. And the poor sellers, who are very honorable people, they seem willing to do everything they can, but they were completely caught off guard.
I'm sure.
So what's left? Let's say the fence gets moved. Now there are going to be possibly some landscape issues that you have to go in, and I'm going to introduce you to these people because you may be able to figure out a way to recreate some of the landscaping to maintain a balance or a symmetry to the yard. Because it was, postcard worthy, the yard.
Yeah.
You will go, wow, Bill, that's really impressive. I said, yeah.
Oh, I love that.
But it's going to need some tweaking. Have you ever run into situations yet with that? Or you will if you haven't?
I have in the past on Long Island, yeah.
Oh.
But
there they just fight each other, and they don't have to negotiate, right? They have a fist fight, and they declare a winner?
Not that part of Long Island. I'm kidding.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. But yeah, the properties are like postage stamps there, and everyone really loves gardening because they only have so much land. And fence lines are a big issue, so making sure that that's proper and it's right on wherever the line actually is. Now, you say 2 interesting words, though. You said symmetry, and then you said balance.
Right.
And so balance is really a principle of landscape design. And then when I'm teaching my students, I talk about symmetry versus asymmetry and what you're going to achieve with a yard. So I would probably look at the existing landscape and see, okay, is this entirely a symmetrical yard? Is it something that's modeled after Versailles, which is, I know that's a big comparison.
Yeah.
But does the left look identical to the right, or can we do something asymmetrical that's going to have balance with texture, color, different heights? So that way the eye is drawn around the landscape, almost as if you were drawing it around a painting. When you're viewing like classical art, I don't know if you're familiar. Way back in the day, they would try to do the cross, the sign of the cross, so your eye went up and around clockwise to 3 points.
Okay.
So I'm not saying that for landscape design, but you want the eye to be drawn around clockwise almost.
Okay. You mentioned your students. So you sound like a teacher. You probably could teach a class at Sandhills Community College.
I do.
Oh, you do?
I teach landscape design there.
How come I didn't know that? You do?
One of my things.
Do you like it?
I love it.
I bet. Are these homeowners that are taking the class, or are these people who are in the business?
It's actually, so it's a lot of 20-something-year-olds, usually men, and I would say 50% of my class is boys in their teens and 20s.
Right.
And then the other half is women in their 40s and 50s.
Right.
Which is fabulous
Makes
because
sense, yeah.
those young men need a little bit of direction, and it usually works to their advantage.
When they turn into their 40s and 50s, they still need a lot of direction. We're going to come back in the third set. Rachael Turecamo is our guest. Seedy'S Plants is her business, and as it's spreading, there's always more reason for conversation. This is All Things Moore County. We'll be right back. Welcome back to our third and final set of All Things Moore County. Rachael Turecamo is our guest. Turecamo. Goodness, there you go. Dorothy, I did it. And before we start a conversation going into sod, because that's a big part of what you do as well, I want to give you a card. A client of mine who lives in Cotswold is an interior designer, and his home was featured in Pine Straw magazine in November. This fall they're doing a garden issue, and his garden is going to be featured in Pinewild. He is working with a lot of Old Town clients, and I was in to see him the other day, and we were talking about you, and he wanted your card because I think he appreciates a garden like nobody else, but he's not doing it. But he's looking for somebody to, team up with. So his name is Randy Boyd, a very bright guy. I've had him on the show.
Okay. And
he just left for Montana this week. He'll be back in about 10 days.
Thank you for the referral. That's fabulous.
He will introduce himself to you and maybe expose you to some of the Old Town properties as well, because they are gems.
I'd imagine. Doing properties, working with another designer is a lot of fun.
Right.
Yeah.
He's on the inside, you'd be on the outside.
Right.
So after the March show, you talked about a consulting, and I said I'm just going to call you and have you come out, and you did, and we did it. And we've had conversations over the course of the last 4 months, and on my property, I have a lot of grass, and I've put a lot into it to preserve it, but I've had problems in certain areas of the yard with voles, right? Is that the correct name for
You're
them?
right, yeah.
And they created all these lumps above the ground, and I guess created tunnels underneath, and
Yes.
you couldn't stop them. But areas within, outside of that range have sort of been, they've gone south, and I have a lot of these dirt patches, and it's been very discouraging.
Right.
So we talked about going out and doing some sod, and I watched you on the job because you're maybe halfway through, and I took some videos of your guys, of you, the process from the beginning to the end, because I thought that people who love grass, even though a lot of people have pine straw, sod becomes a big deal here.
Yes.
Because it's beautiful, if it's done properly, and you put a zoysia down on 1/3 of my yard.
Yes.
But that damage that I had was not all voles, and you did something to...
I'll talk through it if you'd like to explain it.
Could you?
So with your yard, the real issue, it's really whenever there's a pain point in a yard, you want to find the root cause, right? The systemic issue. And the systemic issue was grubs.
Yeah.
So you had Japanese beetle grubs, and the voles and the moles love that. They'll eat those. They'll also start eating the roots of your grass. They'll start eating the roots of herbaceous plants.
They've got to have a weight problem by now.
They'll tunnel through all of your yard, which is terrible. They'll destroy a yard very quickly. So what you're treating for is not just the voles and the moles, which you'll treat with castor oil. You can get it in a granular form. You'll also treat with milky spore. And milky spore is an organic product, granular. And before I even lay down the sod, I actually lay it on the bare ground. And that will be a preventative for any further grubs, which is great. So with grubs, like I said, it's Japanese beetle. There's a life cycle. So going up into June, July, August, that's when they go from grub form to adult form, and then they're out of the ground.
That's why I've had no more mounds being created.
Correct. Yeah, because there's no more food.
So what you're trying to kill is the food source, not the animals.
Correct.
Okay. See,
Yes.
I'm a layman about this, so it's an education for me. So by putting the sod down, that's an investment.
Yes.
If the Japanese beetle, that's what the
Yes.
food, okay. If they come back, I'm screwed.
And that's where we put milky spore down because it's going to prevent it. It acts as a preventative. It actually works up to a year, and then we reapply. And we keep doing that just to make sure it's good for a few years. And
So you have to continue to reapply it. Okay, because my yard is beautiful,
yes.
and it's one of those, it's a yard that deserves as much attention as the house. And a lot of people will discount their yard, put all their money into their house, but the landscaping is the first impression people get.
Right.
And I have what I call a northeastern yard, where there's a ton of grass
Yes.
and very little pine straw, and it's beautiful. Pine straw is a lot less expensive but there's a charm about it.
Well, I mean, I forget if it was Munger or Warren Buffett that said that your yard is the first thing to increase the value of your property.
Right.
Landscaping is the best investment. And I would agree with that. You're stepping into ambiance. You're stepping into an environment. It's supposed to be a peaceful place, your home, rather than just a house. And grass, some people will shy away from it because they don't want to have to mow.
Yeah.
But it does lower the ambient temperature around your home. So there's something to having big spaces of grass intermingled with some shade trees.
Right.
Whether it be something small like crepe myrtle or dogwood, but it serves a purpose too. It's not just simply aesthetic.
So you're doing the balance of the yard for me as well. But during that consultation, when you came out, you drew up a design which included putting specific plants in areas that would create a better visual. But you're also talking about narrowing the scope of the lawn in certain areas.
Yes.
Before it goes into the trees and on the corners, on the borders. Is that right?
Yes. So it depends. I mean, my biggest concern with any client is pain points. How am I going to meet form and function? So with your space, limiting some lawn was a value add.
Right.
And creating a new space where you can use steppable perennials, something that might be semi-evergreen and that you don't have to maintain, was a better move. You also had a lot of moss in spaces.
Shady areas.
Right. So
Yeah.
taking down a couple of tree limbs, nothing too large, exposing it to light, and then just tilling up the soil and planting some perennials around stepping stones.
Yeah.
It's a simple and cost-effective way to handle things, and it's good design.
Yeah. Your crew is great, by the way.
Agreed.
I mean,
They're fabulous.
They're the type of guys, I have to tell you, they work hard whether you're watching or not.
Yes.
And their work ethic was off the charts. And I was so impressed with them, and polite, but they did everything right. And you chose zoysia to put down rather than centipede, and the thinking behind that was?
I chose Empire zoysia, which actually is bred. It's a specific variety bred to mitigate fungal issues.
Okay.
I did that because your yard's so shady and you water at the correct time. But God forbid that, it rains heavily
At night.
and then it gets super hot.
Mm-hmm.
This is an issue that could later down the line, come to fruition. So I'd rather just pick the right plant for the right space.
Okay. This is a time of the show where I have to ask you, the time you spend with your retail shop, your field visits, your sons, your teaching, and then listening to you speak, I have to know, how many books do you read a week? Because I think you read quite a bit.
I used to read a lot.
No kidding.
Yeah.
You're some of the things you're saying and the people you're quoting tells me you're an avid reader.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. And
So-
all sorts of stuff. It doesn't matter what it is, really.
I get it.
Yeah. But this past year, I haven't been able to sit down and read. I keep...
No kidding, really?
Yeah. I'll read things that I've already read just for pleasure, and that's it.
That's like warming up an engine for a car that isn't running. You
That's
just want
right.
to keep it going, right?
Yeah, I'm just turning over the engine.
So people should come to visit you.
Poplar?
301 North Poplar Street in Aberdeen.
Yes.
And you're open even in the summer months. You're open and weekends are usually a busy time for you there.
Yes.
But they can reach out to you. How do you want them to contact you?
They could call. They could actually text, too. You can email if you'd like, or message me on Instagram or Facebook.
Okay.
All of the above.
Okay. I have a feeling 6 months from now, you're going to have a whole host of other stories to tell us. And I'm looking forward to getting the sod work done. And I'm just glad I'm doing it. The yard deserves it.
Yes.
The yard deserves it. And when you buy a home, sometimes you commit to the home. And certain properties do deserve certain things. And this one does. And I'm so glad we're doing it. And those guys of yours, I'd like to clone them. I mean, they're
Me too.
and you coming behind them to do all the work.
Yeah.
Where you came out after they were finished, and you spent an hour and a half there,
Yeah.
checking every little thing. I was
Right.
so impressed. I mean, I'm looking forward to working with you and referring you down the road.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. I appreciate the work.
You're going to get all the work you can handle, I think.
That's good.
Rachel, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Bill.
Seedy'S Plants, please check it out, and please check Rachel out. She's very impressive at what she does. This is All Things Moore County. Have a great week.